So you think 72 hours without power is no big deal? Think again. Imagine right now, boom, the lights go out, your TV dies mid-show, and that comforting hum of the fridge? Gone. In an instant, your home is a black cave, and your fancy Wi-Fi connected coffee maker is a useless ornament. No biggie. You'll just play Candy Crush on your phone. Oh wait, your battery's at 12% and dropping. Now stretch this moment to 3 full days. Still feeling confident? If your grand plan is a drawer full of takeout menus and a flashlight with dying batteries, we need to talk. This isn't fantasy. It's happened to millions of Americans, and it can happen to you. The blackout begins. Day 1 reality check. It's 11:57 p.m. on a random weeknight. Suddenly everything blinks off. Must be a blown fuse, you mutter, fumbling for your phone, which naturally wasn't charged before bed. You check the window, darkness everywhere. Congratulations, you're in a blackout. For the first few minutes, it's almost fun. You channel your inner Eagle Scout, light a few candles, and declare it a family adventure. The kids cheer because, hey, no school if there's no electricity. Good luck explaining that's not how it works. Your spouse finds an old radio, and by miracle it has batteries. You're feeling pretty proud of your impromptu setup, like we got this. Enjoying the quiet, even making shadow puppets on the wall. It's all good for now. By nightfall of day 1, you're down to candlelight and optimism, and maybe a dwindling phone battery. It's cozy, until you realize the heat, or AC, is out too. Fast forward a few hours into day 1. The house is getting chilly, or swelteringly hot, depending on the season. That candle is your MVP, flickering bravely on the coffee table. You grab a midnight snack, only to cringe as the fridge light obviously doesn't turn on. Habit's a funny thing. No worries, you think. If we keep the fridge closed, the food stays cold. Good instinct. A closed fridge can keep food safe about 4 hours, and a full freezer a solid 48 hours. So you slam it shut quickly. Crisis averted, right? Sure, until the morning. Daylight reveals the extent of the inconvenience. No hot coffee, the horror. No toast, and that phone you forgot to charge is now a dead slab of glass. You wander to the garage, hit the automatic door opener out of habit. Nothing. Surprise, you're not driving anywhere unless you figure out that manual release cord. Feeling a tad less cocky now? By now you've probably rummaged for every flashlight, half of which have corroded batteries. The kids' tablets died with the Wi-Fi, so they're actually making eye contact and asking questions like, when will the power be back? As if you have a clue. If you're a young adult living solo, maybe you're confidently saying, I'll just DoorDash some food. Oh honey, no. The restaurants are dark, the delivery guys are hunkered down at home, and your phone can't DoorDash if it's dead as a doornail. By the end of day 1, reality sets in. This outage might last a while, and you are woefully unprepared. But hey, at least it's only been 18 hours? You've got this right? A dose of reality. This has happened before and worse. Before we dive further into your personal 72-hour saga, let's get one thing straight. Millions of Americans have already been through this hell, some for far longer than 72 hours. Think your situation is unique? Tell that to the folks in Texas 2021, when a deep freeze turned off the lights and heat for days. In that disaster, more than 4.5 million homes and businesses lost power, many for up to a whole week. That's right, an entire week shivering in the dark, in Texas, where winter usually means putting on socks. At least 246 people died in the chaos, and some estimates say it was almost 700 lives lost. Why? Because our modern lives aren't built to survive sub-freezing homes. People did desperate things. One family in Houston ran their truck in the garage for warmth and died from carbon monoxide poisoning. Others lit charcoal grills inside, a giant no-no unless you enjoy almost burning the house down or inhaling toxic smoke. Hospitals overflowed with cases of hypothermia and CO poisoning. In total, a staggering 69% of Texans lost power during that storm, with outages averaging 42 hours, and remember, that's an average. Plenty of people endured days longer, boiling snow for water and praying for the grid to resurrect. By the way, that Texas freeze wasn't just a power outage, it knocked out water treatment plants too. 15 million Texans lost access to clean water and had to boil whatever dripped from their taps. Fun times, huh? And who could forget Hurricane Sandy in 2012? If you lived in the Northeast then, you definitely remember sitting in a cold, dark house for days. That little superstorm decided to plunge about 8.5 million customers into darkness. Picture New York City, the city that never sleeps, suddenly very dark and very quiet. Lower Manhattan was pitch black. except for the occasional siren or flashlight beam, a spooky sight that made for crazy photos. In New Jersey, 62% of the entire state lost power at one point. Some folks spent 13 days waiting for the lights to come back. 2 weeks of cold showers and candlelit dinners, the unromantic kind involving canned beans. Sandy caused billions in damage, but ask anyone stuck with no power, the worst part was that feeling of utter helplessness as each day dragged on. Now maybe you're thinking, yeah, but those are rare, once-in-a-lifetime events. First off, they're not as rare as you think. Our power grid is aging and extreme weather is getting more common, meaning big outages are actually on the rise. In fact, 80% of major U.S. outages since 2000 were caused by weather disasters, hurricanes, fires, ice storms, you name it. If you live in California, you already know the new routine. When wildfire risk gets high, the utility might just shut off your power on purpose. Yep, to avoid sparking fires in dry winds, they'll flip the switch and leave millions in the dark as a precaution. In October 2019, PG&E, Northern California's utility, pulled the plug on 700,000+ customers, roughly 2 million people for days, to prevent wildfires. It was the largest planned blackout in California history. Businesses shut down, traffic lights went out, people with medical devices were scrambling for generators. Talk about chaos, and this was preemptive. So whether it's nature or the power company, long outages are a reality from Texas to New York to California. Still think 72 puny hours is a cakewalk? Alright, back to your situation. Day 2 is coming and it's about to get real. Day 2, the struggle gets real. Tick-tock 24 hours down. By now the novelty of a camping night at home has fully worn off. Day 2 greets you with room temperature milk and a fridge full of questionable food. Remember that unopened fridge you were so disciplined about? Well, if the power's still out, the clock is ticking on those groceries. The USDA says refrigerated food stays safe about 4 hours without power. So by day 2 morning, the yogurt is iffy, and the chicken, let's not. Your freezer fare is starting to sweat too. A full freezer can hold out approximately 48 hours, but yours was only half full of Hot Pockets and ice cream, so do the math. Breakfast is peanut butter on a slightly stale bun, no toaster, remember? And maybe some canned fruit cocktail if you can pry it open. Where did that manual can opener go? You carefully ration the bottled water, 1 bottle per person, because who knows when the taps will work again. City water might still flow, but if you're on a well, the electric pump is dead. Coffee, unless you cold brewed a batch in advance, it's looking grim. Caffeine withdrawal is setting in, adding to your charm and patience. By midday, the house is either freezing if it's winter or stifling if it's summer. Let's say it's winter. You've piled on sweaters and wrapped yourself in a blanket burrito style. The kids are complaining their noses are cold. You all camp in the sunniest room for a bit of natural warmth. The gas furnace won't kick on, needs electricity for the blower, so maybe you're lucky enough to have a wood stove or fireplace. If so, congrats, you're in better shape than most. Just be sure you know what you're doing. The last thing you need is a house fire on top of a blackout. If it's sweltering summer, day 2 is basically a sweat fest. Everyone's sticky and cranky. You've opened the windows if it's safe and hung sheets over them to block sun. Cold showers might help. Oh wait, your water heater's electric. Scratch that. Maybe you fill the tub with cooler tap water to sit in, or you're desperately fanning yourself with an old magazine. Either way, morale is low. Now hunger is becoming a thing. Sure, you stocked some non-perishables, right? Let's check the pantry. A can of beans, some soup, a bag of chips, and dog food. Note, we do not recommend sharing the dog food, no matter how desperate. Fido needs his strength too. If you're a prepared suburban family, maybe you've got a generator humming outside by now, or a fancy battery backup, but we're assuming you didn't, since you're watching this video to learn. So instead, you're eyeing those melty popsicles and decide it's now or never. Family popsicle party for lunch. Why not? Gotta use them before they become Kool-Aid. Meanwhile, your phone is long dead, and the portable power bank you had gave up the ghost overnight, because you also had to charge the kids' tablets to keep them sane. You might get in the car to charge devices for a bit. Smart move, car chargers can be lifesavers. But please, do it safely, as in, pull the car out of the garage. We don't need a tragic repeat of that Texas story where people tried to stay warm in their garage and never woke up. Fresh air is your friend, whether running a car or a generator. Never confine carbon monoxide. Basic but easily overlooked when you're cold and desperate. By afternoon of day 2, you decide to venture out in search of supplies or just to see another human face that isn't scowling at you in the dark. Driving through town is eerie. Dead traffic lights, treat them as four-way stops if you remember your driver's ed. Most stores closed, maybe a few on generator power with long lines outside. You find an open gas station convenience store, jackpot. But inside it's been picked clean like a scene from a zombie apocalypse movie. Want bread? Too late. Bottled water? Only the weird flavors no one likes. Batteries? Ha, those were gone in the first 3 hours of the outage. This is exactly what happened in real disasters. Shelves empty out fast. During the 2021 Texas freeze, 75% of Texans struggled to get food and 63% had trouble getting water. Look at this actual photo from Austin during that crisis. Supermarket shelves were stripped bare by day 2, so you grab whatever random items you can. Canned asparagus and mystery spam, gourmet dinner coming up, and head home, feeling half defeated. Your young adult self might be thinking, I'll just drive to a friend's place or a hotel. Nice try. The outage spans the whole region, and every hotel that does have power on a generator is fully booked with people who thought ahead. As evening of day 2 approaches, you realize you haven't checked on your neighbors. You peek outside, it's oddly quiet, except maybe one house down the street has a generator chugging away. Cue the envy. Their lights are on. They're probably casually watching TV while you're plotting how to cook ramen on a candle. You might wander over in daylight to say hi and see how they're holding up. This is actually a pro tip: community. In extended outages, neighbors helping neighbors can be a game changer. Share info, pool resources, commiserate over the fact that you really miss hot showers. Just resist the urge to break social norms like stealing your neighbor's generator fuel. That's a quick way to turn the neighborhood watch into a pitchfork mob. Night 2, and it's dark. Your surroundings feel less like home and more like survival camp. You've burned through most of your candles, never thought you'd need that many. Flashlights are dimming. If you were lucky to have a battery-powered radio, you may have caught some news. The power company promises crews are working 24/7, but there's no ETA for full restoration. Fantastic. You attempt to warm up some soup on that camping stove you thankfully found in the garage. If you're using a gas grill or camp stove, do it outside. Yeah, we keep saying it, but you'd be amazed how many people try to grill in the living room and then wonder why they're dizzy. Dinner is lukewarm soup by candlelight, and maybe that can of asparagus. Turns out desperation is the best seasoning. You're exhausted, frustrated, and frankly a little worried. And guess what? Tomorrow will be day 3. Time to find out if you or your family will push through or lose it. Day 3. Adapt, improvise, overcome, or collapse. Dawn of the 3rd day without power. At this point you've entered a weird new reality, a powerless world that feels equal parts mundane and insane. You wake up and instinctively try flipping a light switch. Nope, the kids are officially feral, having had no TV, internet, or video games for 48+ hours. Expect a full-blown mutiny if this continues. By tonight they might be painting faces and plotting to take over as lord of the living room. Your phone is long dead, and even the car charger routine isn't keeping up. Cut off from the digital world, you don't even know if the outage is just your area or half the country. It's like living in 1825 minus the horse-drawn carriage. By now, everything in the fridge is suspect or spoiled. The milk is sour, the meat is teetering on the edge of turning into a science experiment. It's trash can time for a lot of it. You're double-bagging the smelly stuff and putting it outside, pray for garbage pickup to still happen, otherwise you're inviting a raccoon block party. If it's winter, maybe you stashed some perishables in a cooler outside in the cold. Smart move. In summer, maybe you've cooked up what you could on the grill on day 2 to not waste it. Either way, grocery options are slim. Breakfast might be canned peaches and the last granola bars. The coffee withdrawal headache is real, and everyone's cranky. This is where the psychological strain hits. 72 hours of discomfort, uncertainty, and boredom is a lot. Little frustrations turn into big emotions. Someone finds that one family member who didn't charge their phone when they had the chance and snaps at them. I told you to charge it when we had the car running. Tempers flare, apologies follow. It's a roller coaster. If you're a young adult alone, day 3 might find you craving human contact. Maybe you venture out to find an open cafe with a generator, and it's packed with folks huddling around outlets like it's an oasis. You swap war stories with a stranger. My apartment's been out for days. They nod. Same, I've been surviving on peanut butter and tortillas. There's a camaraderie in the struggle. Honestly, that's one silver lining. People do tend to come together. Communities set up charging stations, or the city opens a warming center or cooling center. Libraries or schools with backup power. If you hear about it, you might go there for relief and free electricity, and maybe a hot meal from the Red Cross. If you have elderly neighbors or relatives nearby, day 3 is definitely the time to check on them if you haven't. They might be sitting in a cold house unable to get out. In past outages, sadly, some seniors and vulnerable people didn't make it because nobody checked until it was too late. Now, what about those folks who were better prepared? Let's contrast. Imagine your neighbor did have a generator or a fancy solar battery backup. They're not living large exactly. Gas for the generator might be low by day 3, but maybe they kept their fridge on intermittently, lights at night, and charged devices. Or someone with a Bluetti Jackery power station, basically a giant rechargeable battery, might have managed to keep a fan and phone running this whole time quietly. Those devices are lifesavers for short outages. A mid-size power station can run a fridge for say half a day or charge phones and laptops multiple times. But by 72 hours, if they haven't been able to recharge it, solar panels or a car outlet could help. Even those batteries are getting drained. Still, you better believe they were happier on day 2 than you, reading an ebook on a tablet while you were lighting another candle. The lesson is blindingly obvious now. Being prepared isn't just for doomsday preppers or your paranoid uncle. It's for everyone. And you, my friend, got a crash course in why. Late on day 3, you're this close to losing it. If one more person in the house says, "I'm bored" or "I'm hungry," you might scream. But then, just as you're debating whether you could fashion a workable charger out of a potato, you can't, by the way, you hear it, the sweet, sweet sound of life. The power roars back on. Suddenly lights blaze, the fridge hums, and you do a little happy dance like you just won the lottery. Few moments are as pure and joyful as the second the electricity returns after a long outage. You'll want to hug the lineman who fixed it. The house comes alive with sound and light. You made it 72 hours. You're ecstatic and also completely exhausted. Now take a step back and look at the last 3 days. How did you fare? Be honest, were you prepared or just lucky? For many of us, this scenario exposes all the weak links in our readiness. The big takeaway: don't let this be you next time. We know some disasters can't be prevented, but the misery can be reduced with a little foresight. Let's talk practical steps with a side of sarcasm, of course, to make sure your next outage is less Lord of the Flies and more minor inconvenience. What to do, and definitely not do next time. So, what would have made our 72-hour ordeal less awful? Here's your new to-do list for family preparedness, delivered with tough love. Stockpile the essentials before the lights go out. You need water, food, light, and power, in that order. Water. Aim for at least 1 gallon per person per day of water stored. Yes, that means a family of 4 needs 12 gallons for 3 days. Sounds like a lot until you try living without running water. Trust us, dehydration or using toilet water to brush your teeth is not a vibe. Food. Keep a stash of non-perishable foods that you actually like to eat. Canned goods, beans, tuna, soup, peanut butter, nuts, granola bars, dried fruit. Think stuff that doesn't need cooking or refrigeration. And don't forget a manual can opener. Trying to open a can with a knife at 10 p.m. by candlelight is how you get 8 stitches. Also, rotate that food stash occasionally. 5-year-old canned mystery meat is an emergency on its own. Light and communication. Have multiple flashlights with fresh batteries. Those cute decorative candles? They're nice until you need to find the circuit breaker, or say not trip over the dog. Flashlights and headlamps, you'll look goofy but have both hands free, are worth their weight in gold. Battery-powered or hand-crank radio, old school, but when the cell network and internet are down, radio is your lifeline for news. Get one that can tune into NOAA weather channels if you can. That staticky voice might be the only info you get during a disaster. Keep a car charger for your phone and an extra power bank charged up. In an outage, your phone stops being a TikTok machine and becomes your emergency beacon. You'll want to keep it alive, even if just to hear a reassuring voice or call for help. Pro tip: when the power's out, text instead of call. SMS uses less battery and networks can handle texts more easily when signals are weak. Backup power generator versus battery packs. If you live in a house and outages are a thing in your area, seriously consider getting a portable generator or a power station. Generators, gasoline, propane, or dual fuel types, can keep the basics running. Fridge, some lights, maybe even a heater or window AC, as long as you have fuel. They range from small enough to run a fridge and TV to whole house beast mode. But 2 rules: never run them indoors or in an attached garage. We've hammered this. Carbon monoxide is invisible death. And get a transfer switch installed if you plan to hook into your home circuits. Otherwise you'll be like, "Honey, I backfed the house, we have lights," while unknowingly zapping a utility worker down the line. Let's not do that. If generators seem like too much, look into those Jackery or Bluetti solar generators, which are actually big battery packs, or even a UPS uninterruptible power supply for critical electronics. They're essentially giant batteries that you charge ahead of time, and some you can recharge with solar panels in daylight. No fumes, no noise, but also not infinite. They can keep your phone and laptop charged, maybe power a fan or even the fridge for some hours. They're pricier than a basic generator, but the convenience and indoor safe use is awesome. Just remember, a 500-watt power station isn't running your fridge for 3 days straight. Be realistic with what you can power. Even a car inverter, that thing you plug into your car 12V outlet to get AC power, can be a hero in a pinch for smaller devices. Heating and cooling. If it's winter, have a safe backup heat source. Wood-burning fireplace or stove. Keep some wood around. Dry wood, not that soggy pile out back. Ventless propane heater. Those can work indoors if rated safe, but crack a window and follow directions to the letter to avoid CO buildup. Pile on blankets, thermal sleeping bags, and layers of clothing. Pro move, designate one room as the warm room. Hang blankets over doors/windows. Get the whole family, pets included, in there to conserve body heat. If it's summer, plan for cooling. Battery-powered fans. Cool wet towels on necks. Stay on lower floors if you have multiple stories. Heat rises. In a long summer outage, sometimes the best plan is actually to go somewhere that has power AC, movie theater, mall, friend's house out of the outage zone during the hottest part of day, assuming you can drive safely. But if you can't leave, hydration and airflow are your best friends. Also, never underestimate the power of a cold shower or bath, if water is running, to lower your body temp. It might be dark, but who cares? You're desperate to cool down. Don't forget sanitation. Water outage too? Make sure you have a plan to flush toilets, store extra water specifically for this, or know how to manually flush by pouring water into the bowl. If you have a pool or rain barrel, that water can be used for flushing. Hand sanitizer and wet wipes will help conserve precious clean water for drinking. And if you're really fancy, those camping portable toilets or even just heavy-duty trash bags can be a last resort. It's not sexy, but neither is what happens when you can't flush for 3 days. Think of special needs. Do you have someone on medication that needs refrigeration, insulin, etc., or medical devices that need power, CPAP machine, oxygen, etc.? These aren't optional. You must have a backup plan. That could mean a generator, or a battery backup, or arranging to relocate the person to somewhere with power when an extended outage hits. If you have babies, stock up on formula, baby food, diapers. Imagine trying to buy diapers when the stores are dark and registers don't work. Also, pet food for your furry friends, their family too, and trust me, you don't want a hungry, anxious pet during a crisis. Smart habits. Keep your gas tank at least half full at all times. In a big outage, gas stations often can't pump fuel, no electricity. Those that can will have mile-long lines. You might need that gas to evacuate or run a generator. Also, stash some cash in small bills. Credit card readers go down with power, and you might need to buy supplies or pay a neighbor kid to help haul branches or something. Cash talks when cards don't. What not to do, aka Outage Hall of Shame. We've covered some, but here's a recap of the dumb and dangerous stuff you must avoid. Don't run gasoline engines, generator, car, grill indoors or in enclosed spaces. Carbon monoxide kills, period. Don't leave candles unattended or near flammables. Surviving a blackout only to burn your house down is the ultimate fail. Don't plug a generator into a wall outlet, that's the backfeed thing. You could fry utility workers or your electronics when power surges back. Don't use a gas stove or oven to heat your home. Not only is it a fire risk, it pumps out CO2. Don't open the fridge freezer every 10 minutes to check on the food. You're just letting the cold air out faster. Remember, fridge approximately 4 hours, freezer approximately 48 hours unopened, so keep it closed. Don't ignore local advisories. If they say boil water, boil it, or chlorinate it. A gut-wrenching case of gastroenteritis is not a fun addition to your powerless days. Don't forget that the intersections are now death traps. Treat dark traffic lights as stop signs, and be extra cautious driving around. You don't want to test the ER when the hospital's on backup power and overwhelmed. Alright, lecture over. I know it's a lot, and nobody expects you to turn into Survivorman overnight, but a little preparation can turn 72 hours of misery into something much more manageable, maybe even an adventure your family looks back on and laughs, years later when it's safely behind you. Challenge accepted. So, let's circle back to the big question. 72 hours without power, how prepared is your family? After walking through this scenario, you should have a pretty clear sense of the answer. maybe you realized, oops, we'd be eating uncooked ramen in the dark. Or maybe you're thinking, we'd do okay, we have a generator and board games. If you're in the latter group, hats off, adopt me please. If you're in the first group, don't be ashamed, do something about it. The good news is, you can fix this before the next outage hits. The bad news, only you can do it. Storms, wildfires, heat waves, grid failures, they aren't waiting around until it's convenient for you. As the saying goes, the best time to prepare was yesterday. The second best time is today. Even the government, hi FEMA, suggests having supplies to survive at least 3 days off-grid. It's almost like they know something. Now picture the next big outage in your area. Instead of panic, you're ready. The lights go out and you calmly bust out the lanterns, fire up the generator or battery pack, turn on a crank radio for updates, and pop open a can of something delicious that you actually remembered to buy. Your kids think it's a fun campout rather than an apocalyptic nightmare. You check on the old neighbors, offer to charge their phone on your backup battery, maybe even share an extra blanket. You've gone from potential statistic to power outage pro. Feels good, doesn't it? If you got value or at least a few chuckles from this deep dive into darkness, do me a favor, hit that like button. It helps more people find this video. Maybe someone out there will avoid turning their home into a bonfire because you shared this. Comment below with your worst power outage story or any tips I missed. I love hearing real experiences, and let's be honest, some of y'all have wild stories. And subscribe to the channel for more honest, humorous takes on prepping, survival, and staying one step ahead of whatever life throws at us. Join our little community of resilience. We promise to keep it real and interesting. Until next time, stay safe, stay prepared, and remember the time to fix the roof is when the sun is shining. Because doing it in a storm without power, yeah, no thanks. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you hopefully with the lights on in the next one.